Our guest on Perspectives today is Kevin Meier. He is the coordinator of the D-Day Museum in Conneaut down in the harbor. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Bob.
And it's one good piece of news this year versus last year is the fact that the museum will open on time. It's opening the Saturday before Memorial Day, correct?
That is correct, yeah. We were all prepared, ready to go last year, but we weren't able to get opened until later in the year. But this year, we're going to hit the ground running Memorial Day weekend.
So I know that you've been out looking for mannequins, which is something everybody does. So there's going to be some differences at the museum this year?
There will be. Unfortunately, we had both Penny's and Gordman's financially close their stores here in Ashtabula last year. But that did allow us to acquire 16 mannequins of various sizes, as well as new point-of-sale display merchandise for our gift shop from those two at prices that were considerably below market value. So yes, we've got quite a few changes in store, the most significant being that the uniforms are no longer just hanging on hangers on walls. We'll be able to get them dressed onto mannequins, and most of them will be able to go onto mannequins. And I say most of them because we had to pick and choose which mannequins we did end up with, because folks on the mannequins currently are a little bit larger. The clothes that are being displayed on them are a little bit larger than the uniforms that were being worn by the soldiers in the 1920s.
Oh, okay.
I think that's as politely as I can.
Well, some of the uniforms, they were like stuffed under the stairs and in different places.
Exactly. We had a lot just hanging on display. We have more hanging on display or hanging in storage up at the admin building. The ones that used to hang on the stairs, we encourage folks to look through them, and the pandemic forced us to go from a hands-on museum to a don't touch anything museum.
Yeah.
So all of the uniforms that we used to have, we would encourage the family members that came in that recognized a uniform to go ahead and try it on. Handle it. Feel what this is, what your dad or especially your grandpa was wearing. And now we have to figure out, well, how do we display them, keep them still topical to the folks, but not allow them to touch.
Right. Well, it gives them an idea with the mannequins.
Right. Yeah, the Navy, we have a shortage of the Navies. We were able to acquire one young man's mannequin, and that's the smallest one that was available out of the boys department at Penny's, and that one has a Navy uniform on it, and unfortunately we're going to be a little short on displaying Navy uniforms until we find appropriately sized mannequins for the size that those men were.
So this is the museum opened in like 2016, correct?
Correct.
Used to be a Hungarian church?
Correct. The Hungarian Orthodox Church donated the museum to D-Day, or donated the building for the proverbial $1. They met here for a few years until they were no longer able to meet, and we used it for storage. And in 2016 was the first, during the event, we opened as a small museum in conjunction with the D-Day reenactment event in August. And then the following year, and since, we've been open seasonally.
Well, it's kind of nice that the museum is there. I mean, Conneaut gets this big show in the middle of August with the reenactors and stuff down at Township Park in a normal year. But with the museum, you have, it attracts guests every weekend during the summer.
It really does, and that's one thing with the pandemic. We were able to get open last year, and we relied on the reenactors to do that. And the programs that we set up, the weekend programs, will be continuing this year. So at any given weekend, if you're out and about, swing down by the museum, and there will be an outside display featuring our reenactors. And some of those same reenactors that are so vital to the D-Day reenactment in August are coming back for another weekend. And we're seeing there's a lot of tourist traffic. I think most people realize that here in town now. But there's a lot of traffic that comes through on pretty much every Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely.
And throughout the week.
If somebody doesn't know where it is, it's at Lake Road and Harbor Street, correct? if
Correct. Lake Road and Harbor Street, just one block over from where Broad Street intersects to Lake Road.
And so if you're at the light at Castaways, turn right or turn east.
Turn east.
Yeah, you can see it very well from Castaways, so it's definitely not difficult to find.
Right, we're working on some better signage, but we've been very prudent with what we've done so far. Most of the mannequins has been the biggest expense we've had thus far for the museum with regards to displays or anything. We've done some improvements to the building that are higher, but we've been just very generous between what's actually been donated outright to us. All of the items on display, for the most part, have been donated to us, and then even a good number of the display cases have come our way through donations. The building was donated to us. It's just the generosity.
If you look through that place, it is amazing what has been accumulated there in 5 years.
It is, isn't it?
From when it was church pews and a pipe organ in the front of the place, and the downstairs was used for storage, fake scenery for battle scenes and that sort of stuff. I mean, it's really come around in 5 years.
It really has. The folks listening are aware that we have the old Methodist Church, the admin building up there, and that building has now been maximized. That it literally is completely full of the props and what it takes to do the D-Day reenactment. We did not have that building at the time that the museum came into our hands. So we were storing here at the building that's now the museum, as well as several other off-site locations, and people were letting us store things in garages and everything else.
Yeah, that must have been a little cumbersome. Now, where did we put that? Oh, that's in George's garage down in the harbor or whatever.
I don't know how the logistics are so amazing, and we've got some amazing volunteers. I'm not going to name anybody because I don't want to leave anybody out, but it's just incredible. Yeah, the local folks, the support that we have here. I do want to mention the summer displays that we're going to have this summer. We're going to have the 29th Infantry Division, as well as displays of the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force. And check our Facebook page, check the local paper for the actual schedule once we have everything lined up. We're still planning who's going to be here, but I'm looking forward to both of those. Of course, the 29th with their tie-in to landing on Omaha Beach and the D-Day event itself. But the Luftwaffe is of special interest. This year, the main display new collection that we're featuring, we had the donation of longtime Andover dentist Dr. Lynn Newman, passed away. And Lynn was a World War II veteran with a rather interesting backstory. And I'll go through this very quickly, but he was on a B-24 crew as the nose turret gunner stationed in Foggia, Italy, with the 15th Air Force. And on his very first mission with the 451st Bomb Group, they were bombing a marshalling yard, railroad marshalling yards over Bucharest, Romania. Came under fighter attack out of the sun, 5 o'clock, as they were preparing for the initial point to fly into formation to bomb this railroad yard, and suffered significant enough damage. It took out 2 engines. They staggered over Turkey. Turkey was neutral at the time. And they ended up, two of the crew parachuted out. They ended up crash landing in Turkey and were interred, as Turkey was a neutral country. And they ended up being interred, basically kept as special guest prisoners for several weeks until they were secretly turned back over into the American forces, with the understanding that they would have to come home and would not serve outside the continental United States for the duration of the war. So it was a lot of people are aware that we had internees in Switzerland, that there were a lot of airmen that were held in Switzerland. But Turkey you don't hear about very often. No. So it's a very interesting story. We have the story in Lynn's own word that we're typing up for folks to read through.
Is there like uniforms or something that he had too, or?
I was just going to say, to kind of tie us all in together there, his receptionist and his longtime hygienist made the donation to us of 2 boxes of items. Not only was it several individual uniform components, including long underwear, which you don't see very often, 1940s GI issue of long underwear had a tendency to get worn out when they came home with them. But he has the actual leather bomber pants that he was wearing when he was shot down. And they gave us enough of a donation to purchase a mannequin for it. So we have on display on one of the new mannequins is part of his actual uniform. The leather bomber pants, they were fighting at 20,000 feet. It's 20 degrees to 50 degrees below zero in those planes. They're not heated where these crewmen are. And
that's because they're moving, so the cold. I mean, I ride my bike and it gets cold and the wind hits me. I cannot imagine what they were going through.
Yeah, they actually wore leather pants that had like an inch thick sheepskin lining to them, real fluffy fleece sheepskin lining. And then under that, they had a pair of long underwear that plugged into a battery for a heated suit. And then under that, the long underwear similar to what we have on display here. And then also wearing an oxygen tank, and then manning, these guys were manning machine guns for the ever-growing threat, or the ever-diminishing threat, but the ever-present threat of the Luftwaffe.
Had the doctor visited the museum in other years?
He was aware of it. I am not aware that he had actually ever made it up and visited. He was very active with his reunion with his bomb group. The 451st Bomb Group was one of the most heavily decorated bomb groups flying the B-24s. The 8th Air Force you hear about a lot. They operated out of England, which also happened to be where most of the reporters were and the most visible sign of attacking Germany. So they got a lot of the press. The 15th was down in by this point they were in Italy and bombing up deep behind Axis lines, farther than what England-based bombers could get. So, he was very active with the reunion group. So we have a full history of their service now among our collection of books.
A lot of
survivor materials.
There's a lot of personal stories at the museum, and you go there and you can look and you can see for yourself, or you can ask people questions. There's 2 floors. The upstairs primarily war-related, and downstairs is pretty interesting in the home front. And, I've been in there where, this is a really nice museum. Thank you. Have you been downstairs? Oh, there's a downstairs?
Yeah, the downstairs, the kitchen is, it seems to be what sticks with people the most.
Oh, yeah.
The individual stories. And
I had a cheese grater like that.
Exactly, yeah, we get a lot of it. And I knew we did well with the remodeling, because when we took the building over, it was just your basic 1970s church kitchen down there. And a little bit of paint, a little bit of woodwork, a little bit of labor, and we basically recreated a 1950s kitchen, replaced the door to the closet with a true wood back door, and makes it look like it's just the back door of a kitchen. Found the right stove and the right refrigerator.
So the museum is going to be open Saturdays and Sundays. All summer, beginning with Memorial Day weekend.
Right, Saturdays, Sundays,
and then
Memorial Day Saturday, and then Labor Day through Labor Day, Memorial Day Monday, 4th of July. We always try to be open. I'm not sure how that falls this year. I think we're in the middle of the week still, so that we kind of have to play that by ear when it's the middle of the week.
And for people that don't know, the reason for a lot of the displays and stuff out on the grounds of the museum is the fact that there was no August D-Day. So what's happening there? Do you have any insight as to whether...
I know that the board is meeting on this Saturday, as a matter of fact. We're meeting both virtually and some in person that live close together. But the word from Columbus has been very encouraging. At this point, outdoor events are allowed. We will again work closely in conjunction with Michelle here locally. We are going to try to do something organized this year. What that may be, or even where that may be, unfortunately, we cannot obviously have a reenactment and fill the bank like
right. Absolutely, we've got about 10 seconds left. People want to volunteer that want to work at the museum. Who can they contact?
Give me a call, 440-224-0717.
Kevin Meier, coordinator of the D-Day Museum in Conneaut, thank you very much.